My name is Marina. I'm a technical architect in the Workplace team. So this sprint, our major highlight is, of course, the 4.5 release. So the first week of the sprint, we were finishing the QA tests for it, and also because of the sprint, we have a bigger concentration or percent of the internally reported issues and also maintenance issues. So normally we have more of the new features in the sprints. So there are a little bit of stats here. Velocity was not great this sprint, but it's mostly because of all the logistics around the release. The biggest features that we added, the new features, are custom page actions. I'm going to show in the next slide. We added a new data source that PHG was asking us about, and in the same with dynamic rules, it's another PHG request. This is dynamic rules to suspend users and delete users, with like big warnings that, hey, what are you doing? It's like, are you sure you're gonna do this? We've been working on the preparing the accessibility audit. This is not the site yet, just a plan of what we're going to include, so we can, when we decide on what site we're going to use, this is actually tomorrow, we have a meeting about this, we can just add the changes and get it ready for the audit. We've finalize some prototypes. Again, I'm going to show a little bit later, or Rafael is going to show some. We started, no, we wanted to start to integrate the contributions from Synergy Learning where the organization managers can enroll their team members to the courses, but their code was not ready yet. So this has moved to the next sprint. This is a screenshot of the release documentation for Workplace 4.5. We actually did work on this feature during the sprint. It's just a screenshot of the release announcement. This is the new element that we have added. Well, this is based on the core element that was like a set of the radio buttons. In our case, it's just a menu. So when somebody creates a new custom page, they can click the button and then they get this nice pop-up with not just the types of the custom pages, but also descriptions. So we plan to use this element in other parts of Workplace in the future. This is the new data source for certification completion history. It's like a little bit technical. So basically when somebody gets certified on the certification and then it expires and they get recertified again and so forth. So we had this as a individual reports for individual users, and now we have it as a data source so people can create custom reports based on the certification completion. And the dynamic rules actions that will suspend or unsuspend or delete users. It's actually adding dynamic rules actions is not a huge work. So this is like one person for 1 week, basically, to add all of these 3 actions because we have amazing API and everything works perfectly, you know, because we're awesome. But we can show it as a highlight. Okay, I see my team members showing the laughing icons. That's what we are. Okay, now I'm gonna hand over to Rafael to show some prototypes. Thank you.
Hello, thank you, Marina. So I'm Rafael Lechugo, UX lead on the Workplace team. So this is what I'm doing right now from the design perspective. So as you guys should know at this point, we have this new feature on Moodle Workplace called the catalog, which is basically, well, a really improved implementation of the current list of courses in Moodle. So we get to this point where we have courses in the catalog, and when a user clicks on a course, he gets to the enrollment page. So the next step for us now is like to include the programs in the catalog. So when a user click in a program, they need to get to the enrollment page of a program. So before we do that, uh, we need to improve the experience on the course enrollment page. So then we can duplicate that experience for programs as well, because for the user, it shouldn't have be any difference between enrolling in a program or a course. The experience should be the same. So I spend a lot of time understanding what's going on this page. So I have a documentation that follows all my experience learning how to configure these plugins, et cetera, et cetera. Although we're not doing anything on this experience, it's good to know uh, how these are configured. Then I was looking at how the code in this page actually is structured right now, and looking for small, uh, high impact, small changes on this page. So the point that I am right now, I have this board here, which is actually I'll I'll sit with the developers in a few days to then to take a look at these changes and like negotiate some of them and see what we can do, which one of these changes should be done on Moodle LMS or should be done on Workplace. So as you can see, there are some really small changes like changing the padding for these containers should give some air for them to breathe. Uh, this select an enrollment method thing here, which looks like a warning right now, or some like a more important information than it really is. It should be easy to change as well. That comes to more like a tricky part because we have like a really weird data structure on the page with some headings, some H3 headings, with some H5 styling that are not son of some H2 headings. So this will be like the part where we'll have to take like a deeper look for the development part and see what we can do here. And so yeah, these like are more like the structural changes in the page, and we could change from this right now to this, which doesn't sing much, but as I said, this is just like the architecture part of the page. So then at this point, we can take a look on the actual plugins, which are like these gray boxes here. We have inconsistent titles on them. So some of them have titles, some of them don't. So one of the things that I want to propose, and we will see if that's doable or not, is for the LMS team to actually require from this plugin some kind of titles, or at least provide some placeholders in case they don't have it. So every box has its own title. Uh, so they will look, yeah, they will change from this to this. They also have inconsistent call to actions, like with different colors, different placement. So again, this is something that if we could require from LMS for plugins to have a CTA, we could be in charge of printing them ourselves. So for users, it would be much easier to read this UI. So this is another thing that I want to see if it's doable or not. And then we get to the actual flow of each plugin, which there are some room for improvement, but I think some of these plugins are pretty decent the way they are. So I would prefer to focus on other areas of improvement if we have to. So all of these changes put together, the architectural changes and the plugin changes would change the current experience from this to this, which again doesn't seem much, but I think it's enough for really make it easier for users to understand what they need to do next here. And that at this point, We could jumping into the actual plugin content. I mean, these plugins, they are on the plugin database. Some of them are inside Moodle, like for example, the self-enrollment ones. Some of them are in the database, like the paid enrollment. So we can change all of them. Maybe we can contribute to the most common ones, and then we could jump onto these orange boxes, which would be like potentially the areas that the plugin will be responsible for printing themselves, and then also improving them for something like this, like also some more like easier to understand the information. So as you can see, a lot of stages, a lot of different areas of action that we have in this project. So we are at this point now. Now I need to sit with the development team, and we need to establish a plan of action to these improvements. So this is where we are at this moment on the program self-enrollment plugins project. I hope that makes sense.
Thank you very much, Rafael. Yeah, like Rafael mentioned, this is mostly improvements about the core and enrollment methods in the courses that were basically mostly written like 20 years ago. So the both coding style and API itself is very, very old there. And maybe Moodle 5.0 is a good moment to kind of introduce breaking changes. Well, they're not exactly breaking. We will obviously support the old format of like just dumping HTML on the course page. But if we introduce some templates with the headers, like this, like what Rafael said, requiring headers and call to action in a particular place, that will be a good improvement for the Moodle LMS as well. And then we will use the similar design in our workplace program allocation, because it's most likely that our program allocations will not be using the course enrollment plugins. There will be just a couple of similar methods like payment and self-allocation, but we will re-implement them in the workplace. I think this is actually almost everything. We have one more slide about the other interesting fixes and enhancements that we had in this sprint. Yeah, so very small thing, but makes probably a big difference, especially for mobile users. In the catalog, where you search something and you want to remove the search, now there is a single button to do this. Yes, the bug icons. Not probably the ones that I would choose for the presentation. I would choose some cockroach style bug, but this is green, so it's like it looks like it's better now. It's the color is more positive. That was us.